Hello, fellow tourist guides. Wherever you are right now, I'm excited to be connecting with you here in this space. So in my presentation on virtual tour guiding, going digital to stay afloat, I will share with you the circumstances and factors that motivated me to switch the physical walking tours to virtual version using virtual reality technology. This was done in partnership with a well-established local online platform provider, something you too can do. Now, this partnership has enabled me to continue doing tours from my home during the lockdowns and remain connected with people and be able to earn an income. My curious nature helped me reflect on how I could reconsider to operate my tour guiding services during the pandemic period. Since the beginning of the first MCO, I traveled virtually to over 150 places from my home. These virtual tours were conducted by hundreds of international tourist guides who truly inspired me. I had to change my mindset, learn to use digital devices and social media to promote my services. I wanted to be ready for the anticipated new normal. You can continue tour guiding during this pandemic and after if you want to, and you can give tourism a voice. In 2019, when the news of the outbreak of coronavirus, it had devastating consequences on the many businesses, including tourism. And the pandemic world has stopped the work of many tourist guides who were dependent on tour assignments, either directly through tour operators or from online platforms. Though not all industry and businesses are affected, it is clear the pandemic has increased the sense of insecurity and unpredictability in the tour guiding profession. We are indeed in an unprecedented crisis and operating in an emergency mode in this complex and chaotic world affecting all human lives, including you and I. We are in the same boat. We are now living in a world where there are so many uncertainties and fears. We are unclear and confused about the future of our tourism industry. To be able to face the changes in the world or in our world, we need to be strong, have a vision, and clarity on what to do next. So I'd like to end my message with this thought. Can you imagine what the face or landscape of tour guiding will be from now on? Would doing guided virtual tours help you? Or do we need to reset tour guiding? So let's have a look at the presentation topic today. My presentation will cover three main areas, that's A, B, and C. The topic A and B were the two driving forces that motivated me to do topic C, that is virtual tour guiding. There is a connection between A, B, and C, and you will see it a little bit later. And my presentation today also includes 3 videos, and they're quite interesting videos. Let's have a look at what is VUCA. So what is VUCA? It's an acronym, or it's an artificial word. An acronym has got 4 descriptive words. So VUCA, V stands for volatile, U for uncertain, C for complex, and A for ambiguous. These are descriptive words, or rather adjective words. So what I mean by that is this description helps us to understand how volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous is widely used and applied to the business world. VUCA, uncertain, VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous will help us understand the world that we are living in. So let's have a look at what VUCA deals with. It concerns a combination of 4 types of characteristics or conditions, or it can be factors, or it can be descriptions. So what does VUCA actually do? It is describing the state of the world that we're living in today, especially the pandemic world. There are many situations in the world today that's very volatile, that's very uncertain, that's very complex, and very ambiguous. So number 3 deals with the fact that VUCA is used to describe and to reflect on the conditions. But I'd like you to know that VUCA also has negative and positive characteristics. But what we need to know is that the VUCA has got 4 distinct areas that we need to respond to. And for me, I have discovered that VUCA is really tough on tourist guides. Really, really tough on tourist guides. Why I chose this topic, VUCA, is because I believe it will help us understand and deal with the impact it has on tour guiding. Now, maybe some of you may have heard the term VUCA. Some of you may not. But let us have an understanding, a little bit of background as to what is VUCA, how did it originate, how did it all begin. So let us have a look at the background. So in 1987 was the year when the Americans used this term immediately after the Cold War. So the Cold War began in 1945 onwards. So what is the Cold War all about? It doesn't actually involve open war or direct military involvement. It simply refers to economic and political disputes between 2 powerful nations then. But it was the Americans who used this term later in the United States Army War College. They were the ones who termed the word VUCA because they wanted to understand modern war fighting. But this was triggered after the September 11th event in the year 2001. Let us have a look at. So the term VUCA represents concerns that the Americans had about the exposure of the not known or the unknown and the different international security situations. So that was how the word VUCA was coined and how they applied them to this security environment. But in the year 2020, it took a different turn altogether. Let's have a look at this. The key point in VUCA is that it is used in strategic management and leadership theories. And that's why it's now widely applied to the world of work and business. And we tourist guides fit into that world of work and business. But there are many people who predict that VUCA is going to become more common in the business world, and that there is really no doubt that we live in a VUCA world. So whether you agree or not, we are living in the world that's constantly changing, and it's becoming more unstable each day, where changes, whether it's big or small, are becoming more unpredictable, and they're getting more and more dramatic and happening faster and faster. As all these events unfold in many unexpected ways, it is becoming impossible for us to determine the cause and the effect. So just remember a few things about VUCA, how it began and how it's used. But like I said, in the year 2020 was even more prevalent because of the pandemic that has taken place in our country, in the world. Let us now have a look at the meaning of VUCA, because this will help you to strategize and navigate how you want to handle your tour guiding profession. I'd like you to spend some time reading the content in the Volatile. Now, I see VUCA represents a set of challenges that you and I have to face in the affected tourism industry. We are all in the same boat. So it is helpful to know what VUCA is and how we can navigate challenges. VUCA can help us know what we are up against. So again, VUCA simply describes a situation of constant, unpredictable change that now is the norm in certain industries, such as the tourism industry and other businesses as well. So to understand volatile, we need to come to grip with the word or the meaning of it. So what it simply means, volatile simply means that things are not stable and there's so much unpredictability. But there are characteristics, and the characteristic is that it refers to the speed of change in our tour guiding landscape. And the changes is so fast that there is no clear direction or pattern for us to follow. And the effect of volatile is that it will create risk and instability. But remember, VUCA often relates to people's view how the conditions under which they make decisions, or they plan forward or manage risks, or foster change or solve problems. Now, VUCA may not pose the same danger to every industry. For example, certain areas or businesses are more stable and they are more protected and regulated. I'll give you one example. Look at the hand glove makers. Their business is booming because the rubber gloves are needed in times of COVID, particularly in hospitals. I'll just give you an example. So if you look back at the year 2020, there is no doubt that VUCA has really set into our business world. But to be able to deal with volatile, we need to take certain action. And what are the actions that you need to mentally anticipate and react to the nature and the speed of the change? I'm sure some of you would have felt the impact of the COVID, because most of us were at loss, or for that matter, our work as tour guides literally came to a stop. But VUCA also teaches us something, that they require us to have certain skills. And the skills that we need is under such condition, we need to communicate clearly. Communicate clearly with friends, with government agencies, with business owners, and also we need to have a commitment to have a better future and orientation. So these were some of the points in Volatile that gave me food for thought as to what I should do with my tour guiding profession and career under such situation that was very unpredictable. Let's have a look at the uncertain. I'd like you to spend some time just quickly reading the meaning, its characteristics, the effects, the actions, and the skills required. So uncertain simply means not sure, not known. Until today, we're not sure as to where the tour guiding industry is going to be. Will it be bouncing back to its normal? It's very, very unclear. Very unclear, and the future is very uncertain. So we know that frequently disruptive changes, unpredictability, and unknown outcomes are important factors for us to take into account. The effect is that with all these uncertainties, many businesses, they cannot plan. Their sense of direction becomes paralyzed. And that change is possible, but they're given. So in this condition of uncertainty, the actions that people need to take, you and I need to take, is we need to decide and act decisively without always having clear direction and certainty. How is it possible to do that? But I just want you to think about this point, that if we want to move further into this industry, we cannot do it alone, that we need to work with a team of people who are relevantly or directly involved in the businesses that we are in. Let's have a look at the C stands for complex. So what is complex all about? How can it affect our industry? So again, complex simply means a state of being confused or complicated. With the VUCA and the pandemic that's happening, it has created a state of confusion. Too many rules, too many directions, too many safety measures, it can create some confusion. Let's have a look at the effects. When the situation is very complex, we sometimes don't know whether we can be productive in what we're doing. It's almost like we're giving up hope because the situation is so entangled that we cannot put our finger to one particular point to solve the problem. So one of the skills that we need is that we need to have effective communication, problem solving, and we need to learn to have this word understood clearly. That's clarity. If we don't have clarity about what is happening around the world and how it's impacting the tourism industry and how it's affecting the tourist guide, then we will not be able to make decisions effectively. We may not be able to make informed decisions. So this is again what the complex helps us to do. Let's have a look at the last description, that's ambiguous. So what is ambiguous? Let's have a look at the word meaning. Ambiguous simply means not having an obvious meaning of solution. And it sometimes is because of the lack of clarity of what is real or true. We are so bombarded with so many news through the social media, through many print medias and TVs, that we don't know what news is true or false. We don't know if the stories about vaccination is true or false. So these are what I'm just giving examples that we need to always make sure that we have clarity. And because of the lack of clarity, we don't know how to plan effectively. So again, one of the characteristics also about ambiguous is that it describes a situation where there is really no right answer due to many interpretations. Now, over the last 1 year, I have attended so many seminars, and there are seminars and talk about how and what we should do to help our tourism industry. So there have been many dialogues between the business owners, business operators, and the stakeholders with the policymakers, in this case, the ministries. And so these dialogues are good because this is what will help people to know that by continuing to exchange opinions and ideas, it will help to plan. And this cannot be done one time. It has to be a continuous process. And again, there are certain skills that are required of you and me in the ambiguous situation. One of the things that is being advocated is that you need to be innovative. Whether it's a business industry, whether it's a tour guiding profession, whether you're running a restaurant, we need to, at this moment in time, think out of the box. We need to be innovative. And we need to be accountable, meaning we need to be responsible for ourselves. So what can we do under these circumstances? And we also need to be a little bit more of technology-centric, meaning we've got to learn and adapt technology in our businesses. The market is so big, the opportunities are there, there's so many ways that you can learn all these things. But I want you to understand that these 4 descriptions are very important. So remember, let's have a look at this. Before we go to the 4 steps to respond to VUCA, I just want to talk back again. In slide number 3, there is mention of 4 types of conditions. And you know the conditions are volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So we had a quick look at the understanding of what the meaning and characteristics are and its effect on the world, its businesses, and the actions we need to take to respond, or the skills that we need or require. So let me just wrap this up before I go to the 4 points of how you should respond to VUCA, what we need to do to respond to VUCA. So understand this, that volatile is all about change, and that the change is violent and uncontrollable. That the change is rapid and unpredictable in nature and extent. Let me give you an example of what a volatile can mean. If a person who is volatile, chances are he or she can lose his temper or her temper suddenly and violently. It's the same. A volatile political situation could erupt, maybe into a civil war. For example, the stock market, if it's volatile, the price can fluctuate and it can go up and down. So that's just giving you an example of what the volatile is. Now, think of the word volatile as the opposite of stable. S-T-A-B-L, stable. Now, I want to just touch back a little bit about uncertain. The future is unpredictable. It's making it hard to prepare for. And if the present is unclear, the future is also uncertain. Anyway, the word uncertainty describes a lack of knowledge or a worrying lack of confidence in one's knowledge. And it is becoming more difficult to anticipate events or predict how they'll unfold. Like historical forecasts and past experiences are losing their relevance and are rarely applicable as a basis for predicting the change of things to come. It's becoming nearly impossible for me even to plan for investments, because you don't know if you're going to put your money into this particular stock or investment, whether it's going to do well. This is very hard to predict because there's so many complications. The word VUCA comes in at this moment in time. So again, it's becoming impossible to plan for investment, for development, and the growth is becoming increasingly uncertain. So we don't know where it is heading. Perhaps among us tourist guides, we too are uncertain of our opportunities after the COVID pandemic. Maybe you want to think about that. So these were some of the things that were running in my mind before I decided to go into the virtual or going into the digital aspect. This word complex has also impacted me very much. And you know that with complex, there's so much going on in our world, in our country. Things are often feeling very chaotic and confused. And because complex deals with so many different interconnected factors that they come into play, and that it can create, again, potential chaos and confusion. But I think you know that our modern world is more complex than ever. So what are the reasons for this? What are the effects of this? Even if we look for answers on how and when the tourism industry will bounce back, we are faced with complex situations. We are faced with complex problems that are so multi-layered and that is hard to understand. And it's really hard to get an overview of how things are related or connected. And any decision that you and I make is reduced to a tangled mesh of reaction and counter-reaction. And maybe choosing the single path is almost impossible. So I'd like to just wrap up a little bit more about ambiguity or ambiguous or ambiguous. In ambiguous, it simply refers to the lack of clarity. Why? Because it's hard to know the root cause of the problem. So, lack of clarity and the lack of awareness of the situation makes it difficult for you and me to plan what to do next with the passion that we love. And I'm sure all of you want to continue doing tour guiding irrespective of what's happening. So, ambiguity describes the ability to entertain more than one interpretation of a policy problem or a rule problem. If you say there is ambiguity in something, you mean that it is unclear or confusing, or it can be understood in one way. We've often heard people talk and give their opinion, or maybe they give their theory, and some of the points that they mention is very ambiguous because we cannot connect with them. And because they're ambiguous, we cannot find solutions. So I want you to remember that these four descriptions, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, they do play a part in the fact that it will help us to make decisions a little bit more better. But you and I know that in today's world, it is rare for things to be completely clear and precise and determinable, particularly right now. So not everything is black and white. So in a world where the what takes a back seat to the why and the how, making decisions require you and me to have courage, awareness, and willingness to make mistakes. So is VUCA really important? Oh yes, many people predict that volatile, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity are going to become more and more frequent and prevalent in the business world and the tour guiding world as well. So to manage ourselves in the VUCA age, you should be aware of the changes that this kind of environment can cause. VUCA sometimes may create fear, anxiety. It can demotivate tourism industry players. It can destabilize people, including us tourist guides. Okay, let us now have a look at this. Here are the 4 steps that have been used in business management, how to counter-react the 4 points. So with volatility, we need to have vision. With uncertainty, we need to challenge that with understanding. And for the complexity, we need to have clarity. And we need, for ambiguity, we need to have agility. So if the tour guiding industry or your tour guiding profession is affected by this situation or the environment, the 4 points there, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. If your tour guiding profession is affected by this situation or this environment, you have to reconsider the way you operate your tour guiding services. Now, COVID-19 has impacted the work of tourist guides. You and I know that. Will the situation of the world tourism make virtual intervention unavoidable? Will the COVID fast-track the way we present our storytelling in the virtual space? Because over the last 2 years, we've been spending a lot of time virtually doing things. Webinars, we attend webinars, we have conversations with people, we use the Zoom, we use the StreamYard. Much of it has been in the virtual platform. Schools are using the virtual technology. So we need to think about what the tourism industry is going to be. So again, I like to say this to you: to manage VUCA, one needs to be aware of the changes and the kind of environment that can cause the tour guide business. These were some of the things that really resonate with me. These were some of the factors that really made me decide to shift from the traditional way of doing things and adapt technology so that I can continue to do what I want to do. But remember, technology does have a very important role, and it can help us in many, many ways. So these are the 4 points that you can use as an advantage. And this will help you prepare mentally to plan your career pathway. Let's have a look again at volatility. And I did mention earlier that you need to have a vision. So my advice to you is that create a compelling vision and value for yourself, so that this will give you clear focus and help you to react quickly to the changes that are taking place around us. I'd like you to ask yourself, maybe paint a picture of the future you want. And I think it's good also to welcome and accept change as unpredictable feature in your tour guiding business or profession. But you need to set your mind to react quickly to these changes. So imagine yourself in the next 5 years, where you want to be. Will you be ready to adapt to the rapid technological changes in the tourism sector, one that will impact your tour guiding career? Will all the regulators make changes to the tourist guides modules? And will we have to reskill or learn new skills? Do you know? So we need to anticipate this. We have to have this at the back of our mind. As for me, my next move, my vision is that I want to do now virtual tours that are on-site. I want to strengthen my network with the international online experience platform providers. This is because I feel that the local operators may need more time to restart their businesses. And I'm not sure whether I can wait for that. So I vision myself as also providing training in virtual communication for tourist guides. So those are some of my vision. I wrote them down and I said, I'm going to keep and follow them. Let's have a look for uncertainty. In uncertainty, you need to meet that with understanding. I think to some extent, all the tourist guides that I know of have spoken to me and they accept and understand the situation that they're in. Some of them feel very helpless. Some of the guides decided they will take on other jobs. That's perfectly fine. But what do you want to do with the tour guiding skills that you already have, the knowledge that you have gained? There must be something that you can do with it. So as I mentioned earlier, uncertainty describes a lack of knowledge or a worrying lack of confidence in one's knowledge. So what that simply means that, do you want to increase your knowledge, or are you not sure of your knowledge to the point that you are not able to make a proper decision, that you're not able to argue or rationalize about that? This was the time during this COVID pandemic that I decided to take action and decided to acquire a lot of knowledge. Knowledge about social media, knowledge about digital devices, and I'm sure some of you are doing the same too. So to counter the uncertainty in this industry, you have to stay updated with the industry news. So what's new in our industry? What's new in our industry? So we need to listen also carefully to our customers or our partners in business to find out what they want so that we can plan something for the future. Has the tourist taste and process or method of travel changed? Do they prefer to do tours from the home, or do they still want to travel? There are no statistics right now. And I'm sure as times come by, there will be some statistics. But it's also interesting for you to find out what our other fellow guides or international guides are doing to keep going during this pandemic. You and I have heard this being said many times on news and by researchers that the pandemic, the COVID, will not go away so quickly. It's going to be there for some period of time, and even that period of time, nobody knows how long. It's so uncertain. It's so complex to even be certain about it. And even if there are answers, it's so ambiguous because there's so many interpretations to one of the answers. Let's have a look at complexity. And for complexity, you need to react in a way that you need to have clarity. You need to be crystal clear. Let's say you want to collaborate, work with online platform providers. You need to communicate with them clearly on how they can help promote your guiding services. By doing this, it will give both parties a clear direction and encourage each other to solve complex problems together. So my advice with complexity and clarity is that you need to communicate clearly with your fellow guides, the tour business owners, and the people in government, for example. Have constant dialogue so that you have better clarity as to what is really happening in the country. Maybe some of the policies that are being made may not be in favor of what we're doing. So let's have a look at ambiguity. With ambiguity, you need to overcome ambiguity with agility. So what does agile or agility means? It simply means that you're able to move quickly and easily. Some people are able to react quickly and decide to do tours in different ways. Maybe I reacted to it quickly. So you need to stay adaptable even during uncertain times. You encourage yourself to learn new skills, maybe stimulate debate with your friends, attend as many webinars on different topics as you can on personal development, attend courses related to social media or digital adaptation organized by the Ministry of Human Resource. And I know some of you have gone for these courses, and I'm sure it has benefited you. It has given you some food for thought as to how you should take your tour guiding career to the next level. So my advice when it comes to agility is for you to embrace creativity. Creativity can help you. So in a VUCA world, it is important to have a strategy. Let's have a look at this particular image here. Have a look at the umbrella, which has the acronym VUCA. So again, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. These are actually the nouns. And you need to have, again, 4 points. You need to have vision, you need to have understanding, you need to have clarity and agility. If you can come to grip with these 4 values, it can help you plan what you want to do with your tour guiding profession or career. So consider yourself as the facilitator. So let us now have a look at this. So last year, in a VUCA world, the important thing is to have a strategy. And you need to anticipate the future. You need to work on solutions. You need to have strengthen your cooperation between tourism players and the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, who are the policy makers. These are just some of my suggestions that we need to do. I think we can all do that. We can all give a voice to tourism. And because I'm passionate about the tour guiding business, I feel that I must stand up and give my voice and do what I can within the means that I have. Let us now have a look at the video. This video is a short 2 minutes video on how to manage in a VUCA world. And this is just a short recap of what I mentioned earlier, what you've heard, and what we've learned on the word VUCA. So it again mentions the characteristics and problems and actions to adopt. So enjoy that video. remember the 4 descriptive words, the VUCA, and what it means, its characteristics, how VUCA is used in planning, in business management, and also these are qualities that we can learn to apply also in our social life. So I put this little cartoon by Tom Fishberg. I've been following his work. Tom Fishberg is actually an engineer, and he often finds it very hard in management to speak directly. So he puts his point in cartoon version. So here's a bit of reflection time. And if you look at the very top part of it, it says, what's our strategy? Someone says, oh, we're going to go agile, meaning we're going to be able to change and act quickly and easily. Someone says, well, the future is still uncertain, that things are moving so fast, we need to adapt quickly, we need to define everything up front. So what do you mean by agile? And the reply is that that's one of the things that we cannot define up front. But I hope with this little card drawing and the text can help you look at the VUCA in a more lighter shade. That's another one here. Another reflection time. Here's this man talking to a group of people. And if you look at all the images on the screen, I don't know if they are young or they look pretty much older. But the message here is that when can we get back to normal and start resisting technology and ignoring changing customers' needs again? We need to ask ourselves this question. Otherwise, we will be thinking about when the tourism industry or the business of tour guiding will go back to normal. I sometimes ask, will the tour guiding business go back to normal? That's something I like to think about. So these were some of the factors that made me think very hard about the idea that we need to reset the tour guiding business or the tour guiding industry. Let's have a look at this particular voice. That's me there. No tour since the pandemic. So I must find new ways to continue guiding. And I'm sure some of you will share the same values. Let's have a look at this one here. We must take action and respond to the VUCA environment. And this is one of the other things that I have decided to do. I must be ready to learn skills and adapt technology, which I did. And here you have the center point, the tourist guide. That's where you are. And I have put some of these points here because they are relevant and they resonate with what I plan to do, what you plan to do. So as a tourist guide, some of the things that you need to consider when resetting the tour guiding, because we cannot allow other people to reset. We have to take responsibility. We have to be accountable for the changes that we want to take so that we can have a better future. So we need to look at trends. What's happening around the world? Is virtual tour the trend? Is virtual tourism the new travel future? Are we really agile? Are we able to change and take steps immediately? Are we focused enough? Do we have the quality of being adaptable? Are we looking at profits in our business? Do we have a leader that we can follow? Do we want to be the leaders? We talk about success. Everybody wants success. And success means different things to different people. And we need to look at the problems and challenges that there is already in the industry and how we can resolve them, how we can solve the problem. We need to look at the business, your business. And you need to look at the choices you make and the decisions that you make and the purpose of why you want to become a tourist guide. What is your future going to be? So these are some of the points to consider when we want to reset the tour guiding industry. And I'd like to now go to point B, and I want to talk a little bit about virtual tourism. This was another important area that motivated me, that made me think about why going digital is important. And I spent quite a number of years trying to understand virtual tourism. I'm just going to give you in very simple form because I want you to understand what the virtual tourism is going to do for the time to come. And I see it as a new future of travel. So what is virtual tourism really? So there are two words that you will commonly come across: virtual tour, virtual tourism, now maybe even virtual travel. They are all terms. They basically mean the same. But there is no universal definition to it yet. But what is interesting to note is that all this virtual tour, virtual tourism, they employ technology to artificially create or enhance tourism experience. The key word today that people talk about is selling experiences, creating experiences. That's what travelers want. They want to go to a place where they can have interesting experiences. So in virtual tourism and also in virtual tours, technology can be a combination of virtual reality. It can incorporate still images or photos, videos, audios, sounds, and also maybe narration, that's storytelling, communication, interactivity, and other multimedia formats. And I like to say this, that virtual tourism is really a growing industry. It's really a growing industry. And it has existed in the past 2 decades or 20 years. And it is a niche sector in the tourism space and will continue even long term. So these are some of my understandings based on my research and my work. And I want to say this to you, that virtual tourism has become more popular during this pandemic period. And I'm sure some of you already had the sense of it. And is it really going to be a new future of travel? Only time will tell us. But understand this, that the technology innovation is moving so quickly and that it will increase the virtual tourism, that many new devices are making it easy for us to connect with the world. For example, Zoom, which is a video conferencing channel, has made it so easy for people to connect with the world. It seems like the whole globe is able to connect really quickly. But I also want you to know that in the virtual tourism, the reality is that there is opportunity for tourist guides to do guided virtual tours. That's what I saw. That's why I want to share with you a little bit about the virtual tourism, because I believe it's going to be a new future of travel. Let's have a look at this. The very important thing about virtual tourism is the technology that is used. So there are some benefits of using technology, in your business. Let's have a quick look at it. So what can technology do? So far, it has allowed people to see faraway places and experience it without physically being there. What it simply means is, if I were to create a video and I do shooting of, let's say, Central Market, I can put all the images together, put them on YouTube, and allow people to see those places. And that's how technology is helpful. And the technology also can create immersive experiences of any activity, such as sightseeing or walking tours. I just want you to consider this, that technology does have a role. In fact, a lot of us have depended on technology to do our work. Maybe we want to take it a little bit step further and learn new things. So the tourism businesses, especially hotels, tourism agencies, museums, tourist guides, have adopted technology as a means to promote their services. And they want to highlight a location or they want to talk about the amenities. So they use images to capture the feel of the place so that they can draw tourists. This is perhaps another way of marketing the services. But what technology has done is that it has allowed viewers like you and me, we can access virtual tourism content using computers, mobile phones, mobile devices, and using maybe even a virtual reality headset. So these are just some of the few points that I find are worth addressing or knowing. Let's have a look at this one here. I want to talk a little bit about virtual 360-degree virtual tour, and this is because this is the technology that I have used to drive my digital tours, my virtual tours. So what does virtual tour mean? It's a very simple way to explain that you take panoramic pictures using 360-degree cameras, DSLR if you like, and then you put them together, you stitch them together, that's the technical term that they use, to create a virtual experience of a location. Obviously, the content has to be curated, and you can incorporate sounds into it. It's really amazing. You can put sounds into it, or even your narrative into it. So I'm a great believer that virtual tour guiding can be the next opportunity for all of us. Until and when you actually go into it, you will not be able to see the extent of it. You will not be able to see its reality. So what are you waiting for? Let's have a look at this. So what are virtual tours? Here's just a very quick summary. What virtual tour can do, its purpose. It attempts to bring travel experiences online by offering insight into a place without being there. This is something you can do. And it uses images that are recorded in videos with or without narration, with or without stories. But I must say that virtual tour is a very powerful tool for tourist guides to connect visitors. There is a difference between virtual tour and guided virtual tour. And virtual tours are a great way for you to promote your tours. And you can put anything in your virtual tour you think that will be helpful and that can sell. And there are so many technology conferencing facilities that you can use today so that you can be visible, people will know who you are, and you can continue doing it. And a little bit about virtual tour is that it includes sounds, effects, music, commentary, and you can describe the points of interest. So what's the value of virtual tours? What does it do for tourist guides? Personally, I find that it can help me connect with my existing clients or my friends and continue to show them my country, my town, my city. After all, you and I already have all the skill sets. We've been trained to speak. We've been trained how to develop simple programs. But the value of virtual tour is that you can travel to any place in the world from the house. As I mentioned earlier in my earlier message, that I traveled to 150 places, all the way from Machu Picchu right up to China and Japan. And I was able to connect with so many fellow tourist guides around the world. And they were busy promoting their country very actively. They were going out with their cameras and they were out with their phones and they were doing whatever they can. But the value of virtual tour also bring people around the world closer. If you think about this, people can view places first before they decide to travel to the actual location of the country. So some people are saying that as soon as the borders are open and the tourism industry picks up, which is happening right now in Europe, people are traveling and people are moving from one country to another. And they are doing it quite well. So, how do you do a guided virtual tour? Remember, there is a difference between virtual tour and a guided virtual tour. So how can you do it? You can do it via the internet. You need to have strong internet, either a computer or a tablet or a telephone. These are the basic things that we all need now. And we need to have a link. You create a link and you send that link to the people who have paid for the tour for them to view. Or you can send the link to the platform providers so that you can host the tour. And you can also live stream them via online platforms such as Zoom or Streaming. I'm just giving you some examples. There are many more that are up and coming. But I just want you to understand the context here. Let's have a look at this. There are different types of virtual tour guiding. One is live guided virtual tour on site. That means you go to that place. If you're going to, let's say, the Petronas Twin Tower, you will go right to Petronas Twin Tower and you will then live stream it using the technology that's available. The other one is you can do live guided tour, virtual tour, but it's not on location. It is from your home. And you can use Zoom communication. So there will be two videos that will help you understand the distinction or the difference between the two of this. Let's have a look at this image. Now, here's Sarah Mello. She's a friend of mine. She lives in Portugal. She's a trained lawyer. She became a tourist guide. And she does at least 3 tours a day. And you could see the gadget that she has. And look how the image of guides are today. And that's Matea Gliha. She is from Slovenia. She is on the board of the Slovenian Tourist Guides Association. And she too does 3 tours a day. And she's put herself on many different platforms. So has Sarah Mello. And here's Juan Rufi. He was a fellow guide of mine. And he started doing virtual tours using, of course, the camera. You can see the tools that they're using. So they have got a bracket there to support the camera. It all depends. The best cameras would be, of course, the iPhone, but of course, there are many other brands that you can use. And you need to have a handheld stabilizer, most commonly known as gimbal. And there are many types of gimbal that you can buy. And you need to have a good earphone, a good microphone, one that can cancel the noise. So, is this how the tour guide's image is going to be compared to the ones that you stand in the bus and talk and hold a microphone? Wow, I tell you, I like this. This is quite exciting. Now we're going to be watching shortly a video, and this video is a video of Matea, and this is her doing a short teaser to promote her upcoming virtual tour. Take note of how she does her storytelling, how she communicates in a virtual space. You're basically looking at a camera or looking at a phone and talking, and you need to be comfortable doing that. That will come with experience, and there's nothing to stop anyone from doing it. You just need to learn a few tricks, pick it up, and you can create your own products, work with a few people, and you're ready to do the tours. It's that simple. So she's basically simply using her guiding skill set, which all of us already have. So enjoy that video.
Hello, hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Mateja from Ljubljana, Slovenia. Really happy to have a chance to greet you in my hometown. As you might have heard, I have quite a few tours prepared for you in person and also virtual tours. And today I would just like to invite you on a very interesting tour that I prepared also as a virtual tour. And this time I'm going to talk about so-called Jože Plečnik architecture, right? And in front of you, on your left-hand side, you have a very unique building. This is our National and University Library. I don't know if you notice, but there are windows that are like open books on the second, third, fourth story level. And I'm going slightly further because this side is more sunny and maybe you're going to see some nicer details. So these windows are still quite, I would say, normal. But on the top one, just below the roof, there are quite unique ones, windows that are like open books. And this reminds us, as Jože Plečnik said, that this is the building where books should be opened. So that means read. National and University Library, which was built at the beginning of the Second World War, 1941. And maybe you noticed that material that Jože Plečnik used for this creation was actually very simple. And these are fire-baked bricks, right? And then also the limestone that we have here from our Slovenia, namely almost 1/3 of Slovenia is covered with limestone. So this is definitely something that you need to see in Ljubljana. So I invite you to join me on one of my tours, and then we can discover some more from Jože Plečnik creation and marvelous art. Thank you and hope to see you soon on one of my tours. Bye-bye.
To show you this because I want you to understand how a live guided virtual tour looks like when you use your camera and you work and you tie up with online platform providers. There are just so many of them that have just sprung over last year in America, in Europe, in Switzerland, and Holland and Britain. Many people have specially created online platforms exclusively only for virtual tours. And every day they are introducing new technology to make the work of the tourist guide so much easier so that they can continue to talk. Now, this is a screenshot of a tour that was done by a Turkish guide. And this is actually one of the attractions in Istanbul. But I want you to look at the chat function that is there on the right side. So what that simply does is the chat function allows you to communicate with the people who are coming in to watch you doing the tours. You can send text messages, or rather what you can do is you read the text messages and you then just respond to them. While you're doing your commentary, you've got to look at all these messages and respond where possible. So you need to do multitasking. It all depends how you handle it. So again, when you're doing communication, this is something you already have learned. It's just that you have to remember using the device, multitask, watch where you're walking, make sure your internet is good. And one of the things I like about this platform provider is that they have put a map. They've embedded this technology, they put a map. So if you click the map, you can actually see the name of the streets where the tour guide is conducting the tour. So when you're sitting and doing a virtual tour at home, this is some of the things that you can enjoy. It's so immersive and it's so interactive. And I find it really exciting. And if you look at the bottom of it, it says leave a tip, because these guides have agreed with the platform providers that they will also do this on a tipping basis. So either you donate €5, €10, or €15. Sometimes when I look at all they can collect easily about 200 to 300 euros in 45 minutes. Generally, most of them will do between 45 minutes to maybe 90 minutes. You think you can do that? I think it's exciting. So there's nothing to stop anyone from doing live guided virtual tour on site, real time. Real time means that whatever time you're there, this is the time you broadcast or you do the live stream. Let's have a look at this. This is Martin. I've become a friend of Martin. He's a retired engineer. He's 74 years old and he does special tours of Edinburgh in Scotland. 74 years of it, he really inspired me. And there's nothing to stop you from learning how to use your phone cameras. In fact, the online platform providers are already there for you to partner with them and market your content. There's nothing to stop you from being visible to the world. Maybe someday we could organize certain courses that might help you. But there are already people in Malaysia who are doing it. So you may want to partner with them and see whether you like it or not. It may not be something that you will latch on, but I did. Now, if you were to look at on the right side where you see all the text, there are different colors to help you who's doing the tour know who has tipped, who hasn't tipped, who's asking a question, who's giving you a thumbs up. And you will always have support. That on-platform provider will provide you support. There'll be 2 or 3 people, the staff from the platform providers will come and monitor and support if there's any technical problem. Because if you look at the right side, you will see there's one called postcards. What that simply means is that when you like a spot and the tour guide will say, okay, I'm going to now focus my camera or my phone camera to this area, you're welcome to click that button and collect photos of it. Just look at the value of what virtual tour can do for you. I've collected hundreds of photos of those places that are being shown, which I would have never gotten anyway. And those photos are yours to keep. And it's kept in a particular folder. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. So here's Martin. If you ever have the chance, you could watch it. And now I'd like to talk to you about the different live guided tour. This is offsite. So this is me. I'm sharing with you my experiences. So I'm working from home. Why is it that I'm not out on the street yet? I will. It's just that the time isn't right for me to go out on the street. So let's have a look at what's the difference between offsite and onsite, and what are the tools that you need. We know, you and I know, we need some basic tools. So this is my setup at home, and I use computers because I already have these computers. I bought some secondhand. Most of it I bought secondhand so that I can run it. I do virtual tours almost on a daily basis now. So let us understand a little bit about all these few points that I have written here. You're going to be able to see another video of me in action. And I want you to pay attention to the difference between Matea's video and this live guided tour offsite. You will be asked some questions to give the difference, maybe 1 or 2 differences that you can take note. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming on my virtual tour. I'm Jane, and I'm your virtual tour guide today. So I want to introduce to you JY. That's you. You're a videographer, and so you do a lot of videographing work, eh?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I have Nina Nasir. She's an educator. Nina, hi.
So I do communication programs for children.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I have here Ben. Ben, you're a copywriter. That's amazing.
Pretty busy seeing as a lot of businesses are transitioning to digital. So lots of websites to write.
And we have Sophia. So you're a financial advisor.
So I advise people on insurance, investment, retirement plans, and stuff like that.
So we have Nina. Nina, you are a LinkedIn influencer.
So basically what me and my partners do is that we build people to become thought leaders and influencers on LinkedIn.
Well, thank you all for coming on my virtual tour today. So what you're about to see is a drone image, and your tour guide, Jane Rai, is going to be landing shortly.
Wow.
So you are actually now looking at one section of old KL, which is typically known as Chinatown. The area where you see the blue line, the green line, and the purple line, those are the streets that we feature on our walk. Whereas the blue line is actually the famous Klang River. So we start here, which is the hotel, and then we move along all the streets. So this is done to allow you to appreciate the aerial view. And you could actually see, now if I were to bring it closer, then you can see the rooftop, you can see all the other features around. So if I were to ask you, when I mention Chinatown to you, what comes to mind?
Chinese temples, Chinese thingies.
But what if I were to say that this part of Kuala Lumpur, which is the old part, this land here sits on the east side of the Klang River, and it's sandwiched between hills and the river. This is a bit of a flat land. So Chinatown is actually a vast piece of land. If you look at it from here, this is the meeting point of two rivers. This entire area here is more or less what we call the east side of the Klang River. So I'm going to show you a map. And so this is where the Klang River is, and we are right now here where the shaded area is. So we put a map to give you a visual impact as to what are the area that we're going to cover and some of the attractions that are in there. Can you see this map here? It says Chinatown. So we use that because people recognize that word quite comfortably. This is the 4-point hotel where we start our walk. And so we generally will use these pointers here to walk. So our first tour will be to show you the street. This is Jalan Balai Police. This is what it looks like. So if I were to do a 360-degree view, this is what the street looks like. So that's the difference about using the virtual reality technology, that within one swipe, you can actually look at the street in a 360-degree offer. So this is Jalan Balai Police, a very important street, and the 4-point hotel actually sits on it. So we start our tour first, and I want to take you to the Sikh temple. Let's have a look at the Sikh temple. So here's the Sikh temple. I don't know how many of you are aware the presence of a Sikh temple, and it's sandwiched between the hotel and Nina, the empty plot of land that's on the right side here, which is now earmarked for some development. Everything is on hold. Have you ever seen the Sikh temple at the Balai Police?
No, I have not.
No.
I'm not even familiar with the chart then.
Okay, and look at the year this temple was established. Why is it that there were a presence of Sikh temple? Under the British administration, a number of Sikhs were actually engaged to be involved in the security of the country.
And quite a number of them were brought to La Rote. Some of them came here, and there were quarters at the back of this building. It's an old sort of building. So here we are back again at Jalan Balai Police. And what I like to do is I want you to pay attention to this particular building, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 building here. This, if I were to show you pictures of what it used to look like, there is one here that has maintained its original structures. So this is the original row of shop houses at the street where you see right now. And it was originally only 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th one is an addition. Look at these lampposts. Some of them have been brought back here. And the Kwai Chai Hong is at the back here. We'll talk about that in a while. And I want to show you something that has been taking place in Chinatown, that there are a culture of mural work. And this is one on a very long shop house. So from this end to this end is about 100 feet long. So what do you think this mural tells us? Anybody wants to take a guess?
Steel?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Okay.
is it my what is it that Kale's famous for? Tin.
Tin, okay. You think it's a tinsmither, okay.
Reminds you of a cobbler. Back in
A
the day.
cobbler, very interesting. Actually, this was done by Volchova, she's Russian, and she wanted to depict a very traditional trade that was very prevalent in Chinatown in the early days. This one is actually a goldsmither. A goldsmither, this one here. Okay, so I'm going to now take you to the back lane because that's what our tour involved. You can see the PNB 118. Can you see the yellow structures here? That's where we're going. This is a back lane. It's called Lorong Pangong. And most commonly, it's got a nickname called Kwai Chai Hong. It simply means a little devil's lane. The Cantonese use it. So this is the lane, and the Sikh temple is just there. So what I want to do is I want to show you how the community has done wonderful things. They've used every space of the wall to do mural work. And I'm sure you can see this. Yeah. And these here are some of the window panes that have been restored, and they've decided to keep it there. This is what the back lane, so this one here on the right side is the back of Petaling Street, the row of Petaling Street almost at the end. And so here is what the community have done. Every single part of the wall is used to depict some kind of trade. Can you see this man here? This is a Chinese musical instrument, and it's called the Chinese violin. And it's known as the ervu. So this is a convenience shop that still exists, but more importantly, I want to show you the association. And now, can you read here? What do you see?
The Coffee Shop Association.
Oh, yes. Did you know that they still exist? All the associations for trade, for profession, they still exist. So let's have a look inside. And you can find just about every items for your kitchen and crockeries. And look at this. This is what attracts my guests, especially my expatriates. So this is how the bold colors are. And you know, the blue is always associated with cobalt blue. What do you think this top material is?
Is it water?
Ceramic.
What do you think they are?
Water pots?
They're teapots, yes, they're teapots. Now, Ben, to the Chinese, the cockerels are very important. It has some significance associated with family unity. Some people tell me it's the it's the time keeper, but they are really beautiful stuff. So now you know when you come to Chinatown, it is interesting to take note that there are families that still keep this tradition going. Let me now take you into this particular tea merchant. And so now we are in a tea shop, and I'm just going to go around and show you how this young man has restored his father's business. So I'm going to show you this particular video, and we interviewed him when we were doing a tour. This is Casey.
Coming from Ujjain, raw material coming in, you can actually consume it, but then it's much more greenish in color. You can see from there that it's actually much more green.
This empty land here is now a car park. This land is sandwiched between the back of Petaling Street and Tun H.S. Lee. And here at one time used to be this. This was a cinema, and this cinema was called the Madras Cinema. And so after this tour, if you can just put an imagination that you're going to have some meal at Petaling Street, you can choose Kim Lian Ki, or you can actually go to some of the pastry shops that are here. And here, this is again run by a family, and this is how it looks like. Yeah. It's a Chinese pastry shop. So I like to end our walk with a sweet note, and we're going to try a little bit of Chinese pastry. There are two types. One is the salted pastry and one's the sweet one. So this is actually where the kitchen is, where the pastries are made. So thank you all for coming on my tour today. And I hope to see you again on my other walks. Okay, we're back. Yeah.
For me, even as a local, I'm just like, oh, I'm so tempted to walk the streets, and I'm so tempted to try the food, and I'm tempted to really get to know more about the history of that piece of site.
The fact that you can look in the past and then at the present and then see like, oh, how things have changed or remained the same. And some of the conservation work was really nice to know that some people do care about history.
I thought it was super interesting, and I really don't know much about history, so that was eye-opening.
Okay.
You're like me.
I was like, wow, I didn't know.
Generally, I find that it's hard to find history about Malaysia, generally though.
Yeah.
Right.
I would have done better in SPM Sejarah if they gave me a tour like this.
That's why.
For me, virtually, it's amazing because, I'm very excited with visuals and stuff like that. And I think if you could do 3D, kind of thing, that would be amazing kind of thing. And I am inspired to go and see the real place because of this.
But thank you all again for supporting me and for making this exciting.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having us.
yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
My
Have a great
pleasure.
Sunday, everyone.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. So let's have a look at the opportunities for tourist guides. To be able to do virtual tours, whether you prefer to do off-site or on-site, there are certain basic tools you need to invest. It's the same. Everybody now needs a smartphone. You invested in the smartphone, whether you want to buy a more expensive one or whether you want to buy that has more features. So this is how some of the gadget looks like. But where can you sell your virtual tours? My advice to you is to look at platform providers. There are just so many right now, and there's so much competition going on. But some guides are on about 6 to 7 platforms. They sell the same thing. And many guides over the last couple of years have shifted from doing tours for any tour operators. They decided to rely on businesses from online providers. I give you one example. The international ones would be like Airbnb, TripAdvisor, Tours by Local or City. There's so many. I'm just mentioning some. Loka Loka is one of the companies that or rather online platform providers whom I partnered with, because I believe that they have got the skill and the technology to take it to another level. And there's another organization, or rather a group of individuals, who have created this My Virtual Experience, which you may want to consider as well. Okay. All right. I'd like to talk about adapting new workspace, why I'm introducing this. Ever since we've gone virtual with many things, our working environment has changed, our workplace has changed. And it has changed because of 4 reasons, and we need to look at 4 reasons. The physical space, the virtual space, the social space, and the mental space. What does the physical space simply mean? It's the place where you can work anywhere. It could be your office, it can be your home, it can be in your customer space, it could even be in your car. You may maybe drive your car with your laptop or your mobile phone to an area where there is an internet service. Or you could go into any premises or any hotels or cafes, and that has become your workspace. Or you could even have a special section of your house where you can put all your gadgets so that it becomes your workspace. Now, the other important thing is the social space. This social space deals with connectivity between your friends, your customers, your family, and these are people who can give you some support. Facebook, these are all social spaces. You can get advice from them and support from them. So these are very important values for me. And the virtual space is a big thing. Today, I'm even talking right now here virtually so that you can hear, and it's going to be recorded so that you can hear. So this is again another form of virtual tour if you would ask me. So what does virtual tour deals with? It's a place where information technology plays their role. Today we need internet, and we need fast internet. We need computers, and it's so many brands and so many types of computers that are available. We still need emails. We need videos. And this video conferencing is again another big, amazing technology that has created connectivity with the world. People are doing seminars, webinars, teaching schools, promoting their hotels. Just so it's the possibilities are wide. It allows us, so basically the virtual space will allow you to do your job if you choose to do your tours in a virtual format. The other bit is the mental space. Because we've all been so cooped up in a house, and because of all the lockdown, which is inevitable, it has to some extent affected people. So this is the area, the mental space is where you need to collect your thoughts, to think about. You need to have all this core if you choose to go virtual. Because in future, this is how things are going to be. So my story here is this, that I need these 4 areas. So ideal workplace from now on will consist of 4 spaces. Because people don't go to office buildings anymore. Many travel agents may not be operating within the 400 square feet. They could be operating from their home. They could have their laptop in a cafe and run their business. And this is happening already. I think it will be more intensified in time to come. So all the 4 spaces are interrelated in order to make an ideal workspace. So I hope that this has given you some ideas and it inspired you to do maybe what I'm doing. I'm very passionate about the tour guiding industry, and I hope that you share my values too. So I'd like to end this presentation with this last word of encouragement. Adapt and reset tour guiding where possible. There's nothing that binds you except your thoughts. Nothing controls you except your beliefs. And everything is within you.